Listen, brothers, the fire is burning brighter. Tracks and Tackle Supply is officially open. We've got tough apparel built for real hunters. Shirts, hoodies, and hats that carry our message loud and clear. Plus scrape ropes from our brothers at Scrape Rope Company, a wide variety of game calls, whitetail minerals, attractants, and custom baits from High Octane Custom Baits. This isn't just a store. It's the next step in our hunting family. Every purchase goes straight back into the Tracks and Tackle podcast. Keeping the stories real, the traditions alive, and the campfire burning for the next generation. Head to tracksandtackle.com right now. Gear up, support the show, and hunt your hunt. Nature is our playground. Let's get after it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Tracks and Tackle podcast, where we celebrate real stories from the outdoors, the traditions that bind us, and the fire that keeps us coming back to nature as our playground. I'm your host, Ron, the Arrow Eagle, and man, we got a good one for you tonight. Our guest tonight is Derek McMaster, 36-year-old York, Pennsylvania guy who's living proof that the outdoors can pull you out of the darkest places. Derek grew up hunting rifle from the time he was 12 until hit those mid-teen years, and then addiction stole everything from him, took his hobbies, his peace, his direction, basically wiped that slate clean. But here's where the story turns around. A few years ago, Derek picked up a bow for the first time, and he stepped into his third year of archery now. He's found something that he wasn't even looking for. He found that bow hunting community. And we're going to talk about that tonight. That community, those woods, and the reconnection to the hunt that became a path to help him overcome addiction and get his life back on track to where it is today. This is going to be one of those episodes that remind us why we do this, why we hunt, why we fish, why we protect these traditions and build this hunting family out. No gatekeeping, no judgment, just real talk about perseverance, redemption, and the healing power of the outdoors. But first, let me bring on the man who needs no introduction, my partner in crime, the one and only, the legendary Chris Doe Commander Bookman. What are you doing, brother?
Ronald?
How are you, man?
Pumped to be here. Different night, hanging out with our buddies. Different
Yeah,
night
hanging
than
out
we
on a
normally
different
would
night
shoot.
tonight.
Yeah, it's cool. It's hot outside.
I know. It's only gonna get warmer. So
Yeah.
Derek, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Hey, thank you for having me, Ron and Chris. I'm truly blessed to get this opportunity to do this. Fresh off a weekend down at Goat Rodeo Archery #3.
Come on, tell us about it. You know, it's on my list of talking points. Let's get it out of there. Before we talk Goat Rodeo, for the audience, you're a friend of a friend. We got connected through that, and that's what we do, right? We meet cool people. Tell the audience a little who doesn't know you what they should know about Derek.
Yep. So, like you said it, my name is Derek, 36 years old from York, Pennsylvania. Grew up a pretty normal childhood, you could say, man. Baseball was my number one passion. I had an uncle, rest his soul, that once I got to maybe like 10, 11, we went out, started shooting guns, took me under his wing for that. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And then I think it was 12 years old, I was able to get the hunter safety court, man, or safety course. And the little orange card, I still have that from 12 years old. And he pretty much taught me everything out in the woods. We did a lot of crazy stuff. My family is very crazy. We put the fun in dysfunctional. And so I got into hunting. I was doing baseball. I also played basketball. Everything was good. little, I don't know, I wanna say around that 12, 13. That's when, the parents split, typical around that age that happens. Big part of my story is, through the family and stuff, but fast forward a few years, continued to play baseball, continued to hunt, and had 2 shoulder surgeries my senior year of high school, and I was introduced to the world of opiates, and I had no idea you could be addicted to them. Because back when I went to high school, it was just say no, the DARE thing or whatever, just say
Yeah.
no, and I always thought like an addict or an alcoholic was under a bridge and a brown paper bag in their hand, and little did I know, there's people everywhere that are struggling. The struggle is real, and I fell into the grips of partying. Like I didn't go gung ho right away, but senior in high school, getting out of high school, just started partying more, and just never realized I was getting hooked on these pills from the doctor for my shoulder. Um, and needless to say, that just caused a long road of chaos for the next 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of hurt that I caused those around me that I truly loved, at least I thought I did, which I do, um, got introduced to a lot of hard drugs, heroin, cocaine, Xanax, you name it. I was doing it, drinking any. I was like a trash can pretty much. If it altered my mind, I was doing it, and it caused so much pain to those around me, to myself, arrested a few times, and luckily no jail time, nothing crazy. Blessed with that opportunity, and by the grace of God, I'm still sitting here today. August 15th, I will have 7 years of continued sobriety from everything. So
Right
I'm
on.
forever grateful for that. Yeah.
Right on, man.
Awesome.
Right on. Well, we're happy to have you with us tonight, and we'll dive into it. And certainly, we can talk about whatever you want. um, but let's get into this weekend. We we had Goat and Rodeo on a couple months back, and pretty cool guys. Love the concept. Um, Tell us how the weekend went.
So, just a backstory on Goat. So I call him my goat-in-law because my stepdaughter married his son. So, we're very close, and he's the one which I met him through. Well, I didn't meet him through Men's Alliance. I met him through family, but he got me plugged in out there. And him and Rodeo are the first 2 guys that put a bow in my hand. So, I owe all this to those guys. But yeah, Goat Rodeo, elevated heart rate shooting, shooting under pressure, down there at Big Truck Farm, which hosted it, which is a beautiful place. I don't know if you guys ever been for the 3D course, but it's spectacular. Farthest shot, I believe, is like 98 yards. But smack talking, sweat, filled with dirt, team building, uh, head to head matchups, you name it, we did it. Even had Dan, he made a Goat Rodeo steel target,
Mm-hmm.
the logo with the little circle inside. So let's just say there was a lot of broken arrows throughout that process. And overall for the weekend, I finished 5th place, which I'm grateful for. Just picking up a bow, man. I put the reps in almost every single day. So just keep trying because you perform how you practice, and that's what I'm going for in the woods.
Right on. You guys had about, I think they said they cap it around 50 entries. Is that right?
So I think there was 27 signed up, only 25 showed up, but
It's raining.
so we blessed out with that. There was a little bit of drizzling on us, which it was so humid, it felt amazing. But we go out, we shoot the 3D course, and it's not just your average 3D shooting. You might have to do 10 burpees before you take a shot. And some of it, there was, after you do the exercise, you have a 20-second shot timer after each exercise for a whole round. So you got to get your composure, get your release on, and make sure you're hitting good shots. And only tens or less counted. So tens and 12s. The rest of it was a 30-second penalty, and if you missed the target, it was a minute penalty on your time. So pretty serious stuff.
5th place sounds pretty good then.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm grateful for that.
To the Dan that he's talking about, for everybody listening, is Dan Sobel, who's been on our show a couple times. Mason Dixon Adventures that he's out there competing with, and got us introduced to him. So
Yeah, so and about Dan, he took me under his wing, had me out there hunting with him a lot. This past year, I was fortunate enough to shoot 7 deer, and he was pretty much there for almost every single one of them. And there's a thing at Goat Rodeo called head to head, where there's a 16-yard target, a 20-yard target, 23-yard target, and then a 30. They all have clay birds on them. At Goat Rodeo, they call that angry birds. Take a sandbag, run, put it in a sled about 20, 30 yards away, sprint back, shoot your bow, shoot the first target, do the same thing, keep going back and forth. And Dan was the first one in my bracket, and it was a heartbreak to knock him out, but I had to do what I had to do. Sorry, Dan.
You got bragging rights now, so
Yeah, but he has a saying, he shoots better when it's breathing.
that's what he told us.
Yep. Yeah.
He sent us so we knew the steel target that he had fashioned. He'd sent us a picture of that, so we knew that he had put the work in on that. And then I asked him for the update. I guess I don't know, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, something like that. And he said, he'll stick to shooting with a heartbeat.
Yeah, man, that steel target, I hopped out of my truck and cold shot out of the truck. I was down one arrow in the first 30 seconds of being there.
Yeah, that's how it goes, right?
Well, let's get into it, man. Tell me a little bit about. I know you started off telling us a little bit about your story and stuff, but before we go like deep into your tale, we see you got the we were talking about call signs, and we see you go by Torque. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you get those names and what that's about?
Yeah, so I'm involved in a men's ministry called Men's Alliance. We have tribes all over the United States. Fortunate enough for where we live, we have about 20 of them within 15 minutes of each other. But it's a group of men getting out of isolation. They meet for a half-hour workout, half-hour devotion around a fire once a week. And once you go a few times, the first level of like leadership slash membership is a call sign. You get on a tire, tell a little bit about yourself. And I'll be honest, man, when Goat invited me to Men's Alliance, like I was living a sober lifestyle and I really disconnected from that group of people I used to run with. So my wife is my best friend at the end of the day, man. She's my number one motivator. I love her to death, but I was just lacking men in my life. And,
Mm-hmm.
us men, when we isolate, our minds just run. So, I was grateful to get invited to this thing called Men's Alliance and got on the tire to get my call sign. And I didn't have many hobbies at that time before I got connected with these men that roped me back into the things that I enjoy. And I had a Dodge Charger at the time, and I drove it like I stole it everywhere that I went. And everything I do in life, I go 100% full speed at it. So Goat is the one that actually came up with the name Torque, and I'll tell you what, that bad boy stuck. And if you say the name Torque at Men's Alliance, chances are they'll be like, "Hey, I know that guy."
Yeah, so just, let's just get into it, man. So you got into all that stuff. Let's backtrack, dude. So you were hunting and fishing as a kid, and then you got away from that. Ron and I grew up similar with, baseball when I was a kid was life. I mean, teaching my kids now, you didn't have to teach us how to play. We just knew how to play, right? There, we knew the rules. We knew how to play. Just all the neighborhood kids did it. When I was a kid, and these guys that listen to us have heard, like, we shot bows with our dad, and then we went out and played baseball. That's what we did. I didn't know that wasn't normal, man. So talk about that transition to that. And I know you hit it on a little bit, but take us as deep and dark as you want to go, and let's get into it.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, baseball, that literally was my number one thing. And then like my dad coached me from 5 years old to 13. When I got to that high school level, he stepped back. He's like, "Hey man, you're growing up. Like get out there and get this high school coaching." And through that time, like I said, I hunted with my uncle from 12 to 16. I shot a 7 point buck back then, and I shot a doe, but it was a gut shot, and we didn't find it till the next day. And boy, let me tell you what, I'll never forget that day because it smelled so bad. It was warm out there, but just like through my family and stuff, like some people spread apart over the years. So the hunting thing, that's why it stopped at 16 years old. I didn't have anyone to take me out at that time. And so baseball was my thing. And like I said, 2 shoulder surgeries, just started hanging out with the wrong crowd. Like I always found the bad crowd of kids. Um, and I just started on these pills. I just loved the way they felt. Like I wasn't deep, dark, and depressed like some people, like I just love partying. And I'll never forget. I was out. I grew up in the city, in New York City, and I was out walking my dog one day. Still in my addiction, just the pills. And I had someone drive by, and they literally stopped this dude. I'll never forget what he looked like. The car he drove, and he stopped, and he's like, "Hey, man, I got some samples." I'm like, "What is that?" And he just called it D, which that was heroin. And that was the first time I ever got introduced to it, man. Probably the worst day of my life, to be honest with you. And that is when I really hit the races, running hard, running my life into the ground. And just through it all, man, like I've been to treatment 5 times through that process, man. And like my dad is one of my best friends, and I broke that man's heart. And then like just people around me sold drugs, stole things, by any means to get that next one. And there's a lot of times I'll beat myself up over this kind of thing, what I've done in the past, but I wouldn't be sitting here today on this podcast or doing the ministry things that I do, going to Bolivia on a mission trip if I didn't have the past that I did today. So I'm grateful I got to experience that, and and God pulled me out of that pit so I can go back in and help others. I'm tattooed. I'm more accepted in the people that are hurting. So like with my testimony, I'm able to reach people like that. But it was just a bad spiral. I think I totaled like 3 or 4 cars through that process, man. It just a lot of hurt. And just to fast forward things, when I met my wife, um, I met her and played the whole card, which I hate to admit this, but everyone around us knows this story. I wasn't sober at the time, and I was playing it up like I was, fresh out of rehab, whatever. And I'll never forget, man, one of the things that broke my heart the most through this is like the first time I met her daughter, the first question out of her mouth, this is 10 years ago. She's like, "Are you high?" That's the first thing that my stepdaughter ever said to me. So,
Mm.
like, that was a big punch in the gut. And so I wasn't hiding it well. Like, I don't know, not happy about all that stuff. But my wife, for some reason, she's seen the man that I could become through this addiction. And there was good times. I did get about a year of sobriety, when we first got together, and I was like, oh, I can smoke a little bit, I can do that. And for me, that's not that's not the person that I am inside. Like whatever I do, they call me Torque for a reason. I go full speed, and
Right.
I went right back to the hard stuff. And there was a little bit of time that we stayed apart, and my wife constantly prayed. She didn't pray for me to get clean. She said, "God, just don't let this man die. Like, please watch over him, allow him to survive." And I got out on an Easter Sunday, from my last treatment facility that I've been to. And a big thing for my wife and I, the first time we ever attended church together was on an Easter Sunday.
Hmm.
So the pastor had told Kelly, because we were split up at the time, they're like, "Hey, Derek's out of rehab today." And she just started bawling and she left. She's like, "I can't see him.
Yeah.
And I think I got a text message from her. She's like, "Hey, I hope you're well." Like that's all she sent, because I was blocked before that, just because I was ripping and running so much. And I ended up responding, and we ended up getting back together, which has been the biggest blessing besides salvation in my life is my wife, man, because even through the chaos and all the bad things that I've done, she could see who I'm capable of becoming and who's sitting in this seat today. And she literally, like I told you already, she's my best friend. She's my rock. She's my motivator. If I'm doubting myself or something, man, she's right there in my ear lifting me up. And she's like, "You can do this. Like, you got this." So, that's a big part of it without getting too deep into it, just drawing out the whole addiction thing. I'm more of a on this side of the thing and all the great things that I've accomplished through this.
Love it. Love it. One of the things that, I write these things down as you're talking. And one of the things I wrote down is, people who see our potential, and you talked about your wife, you talked about the guys in the men's alliance and, just certain individuals inviting you to come be part of something. Sometimes we all need people like that, right? People they don't not looking at who I am right now. They're looking at who I have the potential to be. And I think that that's like so powerful when you have somebody like that. We talk about traditions and mentorship and passing along, we've learned how to fish or how to hunt and how to track a deer and all that stuff and passing that along to somebody else. But just seeing the potential in somebody, even though they're not there yet, that's a powerful, powerful asset to have in your toolbox.
But yeah, so that's one of the things that I did want to bring up with you guys is I'm a firm believer you need three types of people in your life. You need people you pour into, people on your same level, and people that pour into you. And us as men, like grown men, that last one, the people that pour into you, 9 times out of 10, that guy doesn't have that, you know? Like, if you don't have a community around you, it's very hard to do life on your own. You know, you can be married, you can have your wife, or a wife can have her husband, but it goes the same way with women too, to have those 3 people in there because you've gotta constantly be sharpened.
Yeah. It's funny too, because and I'm not making light of your situation. Please don't take it that way, or not trying to use you as an example. But I mean, there's tons of studies and stats that say, if you keep kids into hunting and fishing, positive reinforcement type things, they don't fall into those things. But then you also have those negative things. You got those guys that pull you down too. So it's this cycle that you got to find who's going to pull you up or pull you down. And I think you've experienced all of those, man. I don't mean I'm not laughing at you, but
No, yeah. No,
you,
no,
you,
I totally understand that, like,
you know what I'm saying?
addiction, they don't, I forget what the word that I wanna say, but, uh it can grab anyone, man. That's the crazy thing, you know? So, but having good things in your life and good people in your life are definitely a very big positive through that.
Yeah, for sure.
So you were saying about having people to pour into you, and I think as guys, and look, a very high percentage, 90+% of the guys that are listening to this podcast can relate to the fact that, look, we have friends when we grow up. We all grow up, we move away, or we don't, but our circle changes, you know, and for the most part, your circle becomes your wife, your kids, your family, like whoever we're responsible to look after, protect, provide for, and we don't make time for those connections that you were talking about, Derek. Specifically, people pouring into us, or for me, it's just Chris and I are like two completely differently wired people, but he like builds me up. He calls me out on my crap. Having a friend that has permission to like speak into your life, um, I don't give that permission to just anybody, you know what I mean? But people that I trust. And so that trust is earned and stuff. And having friends that can celebrate your wins with you and call you out when you're getting off the road a little bit, getting off track. I don't know. You can't put a value on that. And a lot of guys don't have that, maybe one or two guys. I guess it's better than none, but having people pour into you and then not just taking, but giving back. And I think that's part of your point too, is having people that you can pour into as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing, you know, and I will say it's another thing. Like if you're getting poured into, some guys it's hard for them to accept help from other men, you know, because we're brought up in a world that men are supposed to be strong. We're not supposed to have emotions and things like that. And I'll tell you what, man, to be real and vulnerable, that gets you a lot farther than being that whole hard, you know, like just on the outside, like, oh, I got this. But then when you're behind closed doors, like, are you that same person behind closed door as you are in public type thing, you know?
Man, you got the word right. It's vulnerability. We have walls that we build up to protect ourselves from being hurt, but we do not allow ourselves to be vulnerable around other men. But if you can find people that you trust enough that you can be, there's nothing like being able to be myself. I don't have to front. I can just be myself. And sometimes myself is a goofy, grown little boy is all I am
You
at
and me
times.
both.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But when you're around people you can trust, you can let those walls down, and it's life-giving.
Yeah, for
For
sure.
sure. It's funny how stuff changes when you get around the fire too. We say that with everything, but with your men's stuff, with the rodeo stuff, with our stuff, just at your house, man. I mean, that's tribal, man. That's traditional. Sitting around the fire, and it's spiritual, And I'm not making light of anything again when I say that. It's just guys need that, families need that, bros need that, husbands and wives need that. You need it, you know.
And it's been around since the earliest times. It's that beacon of light. And anytime there's a fire, what do people do? They sit close to each other and
Yeah,
like we're talking about, you get vulnerable with one
yeah,
another. And that's real life things that men need that are lacking, you know?
for sure.
Well, the symbology of the fire, which we gravitate to a lot with our group and the collaborative network, is what we do. It's all about storytelling. You have a story. Chris has a story. It's our testimony, and it's unique to us. So, but when you get around the fire, this is where we tell stories, and this is where we open up, and we get to share our memories with one another. So, we appreciate you coming on. We're glad that we get to meet cool people through friendships and different people that we know and stuff like that. Talk to me about bow hunting. I mean, we're an outdoors podcast. Tell me about bow
Yeah.
hunting. And I think the first time that I was introduced to you, Derek, you were just saying, like, man, I am all about it now, because there was a shift, when you got into the men's group.
Yeah, man. I love bow hunting because it's a challenge. You can pick up a rifle, you can pick up a pistol. Well, for me anyway, like I feel like you can get that down pretty easy, Like it's kind of about your breathing, hold that scope on something. But when you get into archery, there's a lot more that gets involved with that compound bow. And the first time that I went with Goat Rodeo, they let me shoot a bow. My first shot was pretty good. It was Rodeo's $60 Craigslist bow that they put in my hand, old Bow Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what, man, I truly fell in love with it. And he's like, "Here, man, take this, like start practicing." And boy, let me tell you what, when I say I was a drug addict, I picked this bow thing up and I went running with it. But like, it just brings me peace, and I just wanted to keep getting better and better. And then as I met more guys through my men's group that are into archery, they pushed me to be better. They helped me out, all these men poured into me, so I can take that knowledge and pour into them. So right after they put this bow in my hand, I think I competed in the first goat rodeo that they had like 2 months after I started shooting. And that
Wow.
head-to-head course I said with the clay birds, my first time going through it, I cleared the whole thing and busted every clay bird, and they were so stoked for me. They're like, "I can't believe this. You just picked the bow up 2 months ago." But I was lifting, I was running and shooting. Shout out to Cam Haynes for inspiring me on that one. Um, but so come October, I think it might have been November, but I text Goat and Rodeo. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna get my hunting license. Like I have my hunter safety course, like I'm ready." And so so I get my hunting license. It's late in Pennsylvania. You know how that goes. That back then it was only 2 doe tags, but all the doe tags were gone in my area. So
Sure. Yeah.
all I had is a buck tag. And I'm like, well, I don't have camouflage because I sold everything I owned through my addiction, so I have nothing left. My tree stands are gone, all that. So here I am. I get my camo, and I'm like, hey, goat, do you mind if I hunt at your house? He's like, yeah, that's fine. So I sit down my first time archery hunting. 10 minutes go by and here comes this half rack. And I'm like, if I shoot this, my friends are literally never going to let me live this down because they're always shooting monster bucks and all
Yeah.
this big stuff they're talking about. And I let it go and I text Goat and I'm like, hey, I just let a half rack walk by. And he's like, And I thought he would say something different. And then another one of my buddies, he's like, "You see anything yet?" And I was like, "I let a half rack go." And he's like, "All right, trophy hunter, good luck the rest of the year."
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't really know what that means, but I'll ask him about it. So just to fast forward that, this isn't this past year, it's the year before that. So boy, I'll tell you what, I think it was from late October until whatever, January, February, when hunting season's over. I was out with a bow in like -7 degrees, freezing my butt off. I probably seen 120 doe, no doe tags. The frustration kicked in, and boy, I was kind of defeated. I'm like, man, is this really for me? You know? And I did shoot at a buck that year. It was a little dark in the morning, about 40 some yards away. I drew back and I was shaking and I hit my release and I didn't see a tree in between me and it, probably like this big. And I just heard that whap. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, ah, man, so that hunting day was over. But yeah, man, that first year was very frustrating until this past year where I actually, learned a lot. And also that first year, Dan, he allowed me over at his place. I didn't go to Maryland yet with him, but I went to his place and I sat and there's a day I had 7 doe within 15 feet of the bottom of my tree stand. And I'm like, I just want to shoot. But, I was like, the game warden's in the woods. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So,
That's one of the things about, bow hunting is you gotta pick your opportunities, choose your spots. Some guys are trophy hunters, and Chris and I talk about this all. Chris actually talks about this a lot, but in the hunting community, your deer hunters, we don't always celebrate one another's wins, We're kind of like, this is my spot. I'm not telling you what I'm seeing. It's kind of like a solo sport, and when you got people that will celebrate your wins like that and give you an opportunity to come out and hunt with them and stuff, like that's a really big deal. We
It's
see it a
all,
lot in this
yeah,
industry.
it's all full circle what we're talking about. I mean, deer hunting is a competitive thing, right? Everybody wants to kill the bigger one, even if it's a doe. I didn't kill a small doe, I killed a big doe. Look at the head on this thing, and uh, but if you can get those right people that pump you up and get you going and support each other. I mean, we talked about this a couple times. The first day of firearm season, me and you knocked down
Right.
does, and we're what I call digital high fiving each other. We're texting each other. I mean, just getting pumped, and to me, it's not about that. It's about going out and providing something for your family and having success. I'm deer hunting, so I'm going to shoot a deer. Derek, I grew up in Maryland. I'm from Maryland. There's no antler restrictions down there, and you don't got to buy doe tags. They just want deer dead down there. I mean, Dan, how many deer does Dan kill a year down there, right? uh, so for me, growing up that way, if there's a big target deer, my brothers and I will go for that one. But if it's cold and we need some chili or some spaghetti, and I say this all the time, the first one that walks by is going in the truck, you know, and there
I
needs to be more of that,
I know we
you
were
know.
talking about bow hunting earlier, but Chris brought up opening day rifle, and you know how that is around here, Derek. It's like a
but yeah.
national holiday when the Orange Army goes out. But so it was freeze. Like where I was out in Western PA, and it was freezing cold. Now it's usually pretty cold in the mornings, but I don't know. I was really chilled by like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what time it was. Maybe 8:30. Chris sends us text, that he's got a deer on the ground, and it's just a picture of him, him and this deer, smiling ear to ear, and that just like warmed me up. So I got pumped up and stuff, and then the next guy sends a text because it's a group chat, and then the next guy sends a picture, and then I had an opportunity to take a deer, and I remember I got to send a picture of just the shell, the empty shell casing. Like, hey boys, I got to squeeze the trigger on one. It just fires one another up. And so having those group chats and getting those guys involved, that's how we got to meet you, because of Dan and being part of those chats. And, some of the guys in those groups are more lively than others. We'll just say that, but he's a good old boy and he's a lively one.
Yeah. I enjoy, you're talking about, and I know you got one hanging up behind you. My favorite type of buck to kill is a one-horned, one-sided buck that I know's been out there bruising and busted up and is fighting, and who knows what happened, trying to get the girls. That to me, that's the warrior right there. Those pretty ones, anybody can kill a pretty symmetrical deer. I want this tough one that's gnarled up and scarred. I got a really cool one hanging up over there, just like you do, Derek. But that's my goal, man. Like that's a trophy to me. That and a big old nanny doe. I'll take them any day of the week and be just as pumped if it was a 150 10 point. So,
Yeah,
you
no, I
know.
love that. Yeah, but this past season, it was a lot different. Dan took me under his wing, Goat and Rodeo, and then I had another buddy, Callstein Bolt. He's a crossbow guy. I don't knock him, but he had neck surgery, so he can't shoot a compound, so he gets a pass. Um, but like before this past hunting season, I got to go down to Maryland with Dan. I got to trim paths to the tree stands. I got to put corn out and all that stuff. Like I got to do the trail cams. I even got trail cams of my own. I had a buddy bless me with 47 acres to hunt on before he sold it. And I actually got to put the work in, get out there and hang the stands up. So I learned a lot more, but on the bright side is, like, I also got to learn, like, hey, when you shoot a deer with a bow, like, you need to know where you're hitting it and where your arrow's exiting the deer and how the
Hmm.
deer's standing. So
Yeah.
the guys around me poured into me and taught me all these things because that first year I went out, I was just like, I'm shooting the bow good. I'm gonna get back out in the woods because I love it. I'm at peace. I'm in God's creation. But little did I know if I would have shot a deer that first year, I probably wouldn't have known how to track the thing. And I'm colorblind, so that doesn't help when it comes to blood trails. Dan can fill you in on that.
You need a partner.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
Tracking buddy.
I got this past hunting season. I got to experience all that before we got out. So Maryland opens up in September. So we get down there. Um, I didn't kill anything on opening day. I seen some little fawns or whatever, but that first day I shot my first doe with a bow. I text Dan and he's like, "Well, get down." And the weird thing was, I shot this doe and I've seen it run off, and I wasn't 100% sure because like I only rifle hunted before, and the buck I shot dropped right on the spot. So seeing
Hmm.
this deer run off, it kind of I had that feeling of like, "Oh, man, did I even kill it or not?" You know? So, I text Dan and he's like, "Well, go look at your arrow." I'm like, "Aren't I supposed to wait a little bit?"
I
And he's
just
like,
wrote down Dan doesn't like to wait.
"Yeah, no, he doesn't. He's impatient, and I love that about him." So, I get down and he's like, "Well, what color is your arrow?" Like, "I think it's red." He's like, "Oh, I forgot you're colorblind." He's like, "Well, does it smell like poop?" And I'm like, "No, it doesn't." He's like, "Well, meet me at the truck. I'll be there." So the man that he is, dude, heart of gold, that's what I tell him all the time, but he got out of his tree stand, drove over to me, and it's the first time he ever hugged me in our friendship, man. I was like, "Oh, man, he does have a soft side. I love this." So, so we go up and we get to tracking, and we're about 150, 200 yards in this trail, and he's, blood, 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 but it's getting very little, and the look on his face is like, "Oh, you wounded this deer." So I'm like, "Oh, here's my hopes." And I see him, like, look up out of the woods into the field, and he looks back at me, and I look up out in the field and just see the white belly sticking up, dude, and that
Pay dirt.
that was such a great feeling. And, this past year, through the guys I'm surrounded with and the land I'm blessed to hunt on, um, 7 deer I knocked down this year, 3 bucks and 4 doe, and that half rack right there, that was a 53-yard shot with my bow, this year, man,
That's
Wow.
and
awesome.
might have went 20 yards, but, after I let that half rack pass up, the year before that and then sitting for nothing, I
Not
even
again.
seen that on I seen that on camera and I sent it to Dan and was like, "This is the one." He's like, "Bro, because this is my PA tag." He's like, "Be patient." And I'm like, "Hey, if he comes out, he's going down." And, needless to say, he came out about 8:30 in the morning and, he's on my wall now. So,
That's the best way. I
yeah,
give
and
them
then
all a
this one
chance.
over here, this one is, Halloween this past year, a little 7 point. So I was grateful for that because he even told me, he's like, "Halloween's one of the best days to hunt." I'm like, "That's so weird, but alright." And,
Perfect time of
there we
year,
are.
man.
Yep. So
Yeah, it's a
Grateful, man.
perfect time of year. So you got the community, you got into bow hunting, and then just bringing it all full circle back to what you were talking about, having people to pour into. Um, you're talking about going on missions trips and sort of like using your story to influence and inspire others. What do you got? What do you got in the pipeline? You got big plans, or what's next for Derek?
So I'm a big believer in Jesus Christ, man, and whatever he puts in my path, I'll just act on that nudge. But before I say that, like, I feel like anyone out there, whether you're a believer, whether you're not, you always have to have yourself right before you can give your best to everyone around you, including your family and friends. So I'm a very strict person. I wake up at 5 a.m. 7 days a week, let my dogs out. I pray, I read, and I just get myself grounded. I start my day selfish so I can be selfless with the rest of my day. So, like, if I see a need, I'll try to meet a need. Um, I run in the mornings, I go to the gym, and then that's how I start my day. But another thing that I live by is you need 3 wins a day. You need a mental win, a physical win, and a spiritual win. And the mental win could be anything as reading a self-help book. It could be doing an ice bath or just doing something that you've been putting off and conquering that thing. Just getting that mental win. Um, a physical win, just move your body. It could be walking around the block of your house, just get your blood flowing a little bit. And a spiritual win, it could be praying, music, it could be meditating, whatever. You could be outside, just looking at the sky. But those 3 things together, man, that is what keeps me sober today. It keeps me being the best husband, father, and leader that I possibly can be.
Awesome. Derek, before we go, I'm going to change gears real quick on you. I'm making a
Okay.
playlist that's public. Give me a song to add to this playlist. Anything in the world.
Oh man, I know it's crazy, but Phil Wickham, Awesome God, is like one of my favorites, and I love Welcome to the Jungle. That's always a good one. And honestly, a song that now that I'm really turning my head, Save Me by Shinedown. That going out to the attic, dude, that explains what addiction is in a nutshell. I'll tell you that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Where can people find you, man?
My Instagram handle is the Derek McMaster. That's where you can find me. Instagram is pretty much where I post all my content. Facebook, just Derek McMaster as well. They're both linked together, so you can get to the two. My wife and I own Grindhouse Tattoos in York, Pennsylvania. I don't tattoo, but my wife does. We have other artists that are in the shop, that are here and there. So stop in, see us, and we're there 7 days a week.
Right on. Well, Derek, appreciate you hanging out with us for a little bit tonight, and certainly, you're when we talk to the group that's listening, we're talking to our hunting family, and so our audience is part of that hunting family. So you get yourself an invite. Once you're in, it's hard to get out. We don't let you out so easy. So you're welcome back anytime, brother.
I'm down with
Anytime,
that.
yeah.
And for anybody else that's hanging in with us this long, give us a like, give us a share, tell a friend. And Chris, why don't you take a minute and hit us with the ad for tonight's show?
All right. Well, guys have been listening to me for a while. This is Chris Bookman, the Doe Commander from Tracks and Tackle. I'm here with another supply shout out. One of the things we talk about all the time on this show and in the whole collaborative is to hunt your hunt. No gatekeeping, no egos. Just get out there and do it, guys. Your way, ethically, legally. Just make some memories and the places that you love. That's the heart of what we do. Well, we turn that mindset into gear that you can actually wear. Our Hunt Your Hunt branded apparel is live right now in the Tracks and Tackle Supply Shop. We've got comfortable, tough hoodies, tees, hats, and more that let you rep the same philosophy that we live every episode. Whether you're chasing whitetails in PA woods, smallmouth on the river, or just sitting around the campfire swapping stories with the crew, this is the gear that feels right. It's built for real outdoorsmen and women, soft enough for all-day comfort, durable enough for the field, and loaded with that Tracks and Tackle vibe. Every time you throw one on, you're carrying the message. Nature is our playground, so get out there and hunt your hunt. Head over to www.tracksandtackle.com right now. Hit the shop and grab your favorite pieces. While you're there, check out the rest of the merch and gear we've got stocked for hunters, fishermen, and everyone who loves to get outside. We couldn't do this without you guys, seriously. Thanks for riding with us. Thanks for helping the traditions that we want to keep alive, and we'll see you on the next one. Now let's get back to the show.
For everybody else, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Thanks, Derek, for kicking it with us. Remember, get outdoors, stay wild. Nature is our playground.